What's up, guys? It's Rick Ginn, and you are live on the Rick Ginn channel today. We're talking about all about the one strategy for you to easily make you 100K in wholesaling. And it's not what you think. This is actually going to be a really cool live stream. I'm going to jump on there and get it going real quick because I'm going to dive right into this because I got a lot to cover. I'm going to go ahead and put the link up there for anybody who wants to do a one-on-one mastermind. I don't charge anything for it. It's going to be first come, first serve. And go ahead. If you get in there, you can just park in there. And as I said, it's a first come, first serve. So what is the one strategy you can use right now in 2024 to make you 100K? We've got to dig a little bit deeper for it, right? So what we have to understand is everybody who's watching this live stream, actually everybody who does wholesaling, the one thing I know for a fact is we're all in different situations. So how can I make a one-size-fits-all technique to show you how to make 100K if you're all coming from different points of life? Some of you have families. Some of you are just getting started out. Some of you are teenagers. And some of you are retired looking to get into wholesaling. And that's it. That's the problem with most courses you put out there. It's like a one-size-fits-all. And so what I want to do today is break down and find which category you're in. And I'm going to give you a game plan so you can attack it. So what I need you to do is pay attention during this live stream. And I want you to use the comment sections. You can introduce yourselves and say, hey, listen, this is where I am in my life. This is how it aligns with wholesaling right now. And then we can easily navigate a plan for you to make 100K. But once again, there is no one size that fits all for wholesaling. And I think a lot of you try to force yourself. Some of you have kids. Some of you are single dads or single moms. And there's so many different ways this is done. So understanding where you're at is the key component so you can move forward to find a strategy that will work for your schedule. So remember, when I started out, I had a corporate job. So I guess I was like a 7 to 7er. I wasn't even 9 to 5 because I didn't have that option. So it's important you identify it. So let's go through it. I'm going to jump into this, and then we are going to jump right into questions and go right into talking to as many people as we can on the mastermind, because today I want to connect with as many people as humanly possible. So we're going to go through this not fast, but we're not going to waste time. How's that? So go ahead and let's get started. So the first thing you got to understand is, as I said earlier in the stream, we're all in different places in life. Once you recognize that, I got it. You've just got to decide where you are right now. And is this identify with what you're doing in wholesaling? And how can I cater this to maximize to become an extremely successful wholesaler? Now, I don't know. We get a lot of young people on the channel. I get a lot of older people. I know Zach gets a lot of young people. And so be honest with you. And if you want, you can put in the comments and say, listen, here's where I'm at. Rick, what's the game plan going forward? Because to be honest, when I started, I was a full-time employed person with 2 very young children and too much debt for me to even admit. I had a lot of debt, credit cards, mortgage, like you name it. I tried to keep up with the Jones, and I didn't do a good job at it. So that's why I'm sitting in front of you today talking about wholesaling. So if we know that everybody's in a different place than life, we can recognize it. Because I find one of the problems in wholesaling is everybody wants to can you and say, okay, this is how you're going to do it. It's impossible. Trust me. It's not that easy. In a perfect world, if you started out and you just came from mom and dad's house and you had them paying all the bills and you went all in wholesaling and you were fearless and you understood you were just going to like burn both ends of candles, that would be a dream for all of us. That was not my journey. So if you're in that journey, I want you to embrace it, because I think you actually, in a way, you have the easiest and the hardest route, and I'll explain why. So we're all in different places in our life. And if we know that, let's figure this out. Why does everybody have a one-can approach on teaching people wholesaling? Why? Because that's how you scale a course, a coaching course. So you have to take the material, and then you got to figure out your plan and the amount of hours allotted that you can actually make this work. So how do I do that? The reason why you guys do wholesaling is wholesaling adapts to eventually fit your lifestyle. In the beginning, it's not super convenient. In fact, it's a pain in the butt. Why? Because it takes time and energy, and you don't completely understand it, and it confuses you and it drives you nuts. And if you know that up front, then that's okay. But I want you to know your journey in wholesaling will eventually wind up where you cater it to your lifestyle. In the beginning, it's the other way around. Now, we're going to adapt it because we're all in different places in life. But I want you to understand the long-term goal is basically wholesaling now fits into your lifestyle. So for instance, if you're a person who loves to travel, stay at Airbnbs, and just go like from one city to the next, then you could do virtual wholesaling and you could actually adapt to that. But you're going to have to put in systems in place to make sure that you can accommodate this lifestyle to run your wholesaling business. Now, I don't operate that way. I'm more of a homebody type of deal, but I've set it up where I can travel 3 months out of the year and easily run my business. It's a little bit more stressful, but it works. And to me, getting the ultimate freedom of going out and having experiences and spending time with my friends and family, that's my lifestyle. So now I've catered wholesaling so it fits my lifestyle. In the beginning, you're going to have to cater to wholesaling to get you started so you can get some paychecks on it. And then eventually you will flip the script. So if you know that going into it, I don't want you to freak out because some of the stuff I'm going to share you, I don't want you to get nervous about it. So knowing that, we know wholesaling has very minimal requirements. And let's be honest, guys, that's one of the main reasons you're attracted and why you're watching this live stream. It is the only proven, tried and proven system where you can minimize your risk and maximize your reward without having a ton of capital. It doesn't care where you came from. It doesn't care about your educational background. And it just doesn't care. And that's why we love it so much. It is going to be work and it's going to be hard work. But the reality is you get a fair shake at wholesaling. And that's what I love about it. And here's the thing is I've seen people come into wholesaling. I got hundreds of thousands of dollars to spare. It's the fastest way to lose it in wholesaling. You cannot buy your way in. And if you want to buy your way in, there's a million coaches that will take your money. Some of them good, a lot of them not so good. And that's where people get the heartburn in wholesaling. So it has minimal requirements. Now, I'm going to give you a disclaimer here, and you've got to understand this one. You ready? Here it is. Wholesaling does not care about your finances. It does not care about your background, your past, or your feelings. Truth. Honestly, this statement has never been more true than right now, me putting it right here on the screen. If you can't suck this statement up, don't do it. Because no one's going to sit there and pat your back when you lose a deal, someone cusses you out, or someone's really rude and nasty to you. In fact, I'm going to teach you how to expect it, and I'm going to teach you how it should never even bother you. That's their problem, not yours. People have bad days. It's okay. So if you understand this going into wholesaling, it frees you. Because what I find is most people come into wholesaling and they're just like, everything I got on the bottom of the screen here is like they're so obsessed with their finances, which you should be to a point, but like wholesaling doesn't care how much money you have. In fact, I find sometimes the broker you are, the more eager you are to succeed. See, a lot of people feel entitled when they have money. And I've watched more people pay big fat coaching courses and spend a fortune on marketing never to really make it in wholesaling. You know why? Because they don't want to learn the fundamentals. They believe the guru, the coach, the mentor, whatever you want to call them, is going to do the heavy lifting for them. And that's just not true. Listen, some programs are a lot better than others. I can't speak for anything outside of mine because I don't know what they are. All I know is I put 21 years experience plus my son's 7 years experience in there. And we adapt it every day because we are wholesalers at heart. This is what I do. Do I do other things in wholesaling? Absolutely. I love commercial. I love Airbnbs. I have good old fashioned rentals from single family homes to duplexes to, I always tell you, mobile homes. So listen, the opportunities call me in real estate. I go out and hunt for them. And the ones that make sense and they cash flow is the ones I take. And I've learned a lot of lessons on the way, but I'm not scared to fail. So let's talk about so now we're talking about the different parts in life, right? So if we understand that we're all in different places, let's start. And you know what? Here's the thing is a lot of you think, oh, well, if I'm young and I live at home, my parents, that's the easiest. I'm gonna be honest here. It's one of the hardest ones because as much as you want to believe that you're living at home for free, you're not. There is a tax to it. And you all know you know exactly what I'm talking about. Listen, I live with my mom. She helped me out a lot. She was wonderful. My father was, God only knows where he was. So, but I always wanted to get out and be on my own. Not everybody wants to do that anymore. And I'm not here to get into that part of this topic. But the reality is, like when you're young, you're highly influenced by your parents. They've raised you, they've fed you, they've housed you, they've schooled you, and you feel incredibly loyal to them and you don't want to disappoint them. I was that guy, just so you know. But I always had an inner burning since I was probably 13, 14 years old to do something that wasn't the standard norm. So give me a shout out if like any of you feel that. It doesn't matter. I remember picking up a Tony Robbins book when I was 17. And I thought I just couldn't believe you could accomplish that stuff in life. It's about 500 pages. I got it at a garage sale I think for $2, which is a lot of money for me. And I read it and I got my butt kicked out because I went out and applied it and find out the world does not believe in that stuff. And that started my journey, but I failed, but it started opening my eyes to what the possibilities of life are. So we're all in different places and we understand that. So let's start out if you're a youth or a teenager. One of my favorite spots, because I would do anything to go back in time to be sitting in your seat right now. So if you're under the age of, say, 22, 21, I've had people as young as 14 on here. Now, you're going to need a little bit of help until you get to the age 18 to enter into legal contracts, but that doesn't mean you can't open up your mind, do marketing and all the other stuff. Don't let that ever stop you. So I used to have conversations with Zach and said, listen, what's your biggest fear? And he always said, I'm scared my age will hold me back. And I said, you realize that's just in your head. The amount of knowledge I've taught you and the amount of confidence you've had your entire life through wrestling and all the things that you've accomplished, you have the confidence. You just got to go out and apply it. And that was about the end of that conversation. I think twice I had to get involved in deals because he was too young, but he set up the contracts, did acquisitions for, dedicated 2.5 years. And like, he knocked it out of the park. Unbelievable. The kid could like close anyone. He was just really good at it, but he did practice. He got a lot of practice. He had a lot of losses when he did it. Now, if you're at this age, you now have to make a decision. Do you want to break free from your parents? Because all I had was my parents shoving down my mouth every day. You got to go to college. You got to go to college. You got to go to college. And you know what I used to say? Why? What am I going to do in college? And the thing that was beaten in my head, and no matter what I did, I got massive resistance from my father, which actually wasn't in my life, but he still had a hold over me and heavily influenced what I did. Is you need to go get a good job. You know why? They want to get a job so they don't have to pay for you for the rest of life. That's the truth. But parents do want to see you happy. But getting a job, in my opinion, is, if you do it, you're somewhat settling. Not everybody's cut out for the entrepreneur spirit. I was never cut out for a job, and I knew it. I struggle with having limits on anything I did. So I was a horrible candidate. So I let my parents force me into this realm called college. And when I went to college, I found out most people didn't even want to be there other than the partying aspect. And then most people got out of college, went into a sales job anyway. So I'm like, what's the point? So I wasted 5.5 years of my life because honestly, I got by with it. I'm your C+ student, and that's about as good as it gets. And then I went into the working world and I got stuck there for 12 years. I would like anybody in that age group. Now you can avoid it. You can avoid it. I'm here to tell you, I am living proof. The college thing, unless you are going for medical, engineering, or law, or something that requires college as the discipline, in my opinion, you're literally wasting your time. Nobody cares about college degrees anymore. Nobody even looks them up anymore. And if you really want a college degree, you can get it in the comfort of your own home by clicking buttons on your screen. You can get a valid, what do they call it, diploma from any major college you get accepted to, and you don't have to move there. The cost of living in these places is outrageous. And if you just think it's $100,000 to go to college, by the time you do all 4 years, housing, food, and everything, you are going to give up $300,000 to $400,000, maybe $500,000, and the return is just not there. But once again, it's your decision. But so many people are in this like, well, if I don't do this, my mom might kick me out, or like, I don't know, dude, like figure it out. But I'm here to tell you the fear of living in your parents' umbrella and you're not going to be happy and you're just going to do that to make them happy. Even if they're paying for your college, here's the reality is you're going to give up at least 4 years of your life. 4 years. Do the math. It's a lot. Now, if you wanted to get into wholesaling that first year, that's the learning year where you cut your teeth. After that, it's nothing but profit after that. So if you go to college and you absolutely know you don't want to do it and you're just going to get your parents off your back, it's going to cost you probably $1 million from start to finish. Sorry, it's the truth. One of my big regrets. Now, did I learn anything in college? Not the stuff I'm supposed to. I love the social part of college, and everyone's like, well, you can learn to live to be on your own. Well, eventually you're not, because your parents are sending you money every month. So the reality is, if you want to learn to live on your own, go get a 2-bedroom apartment and share it with someone, or rent a room from someone. I taught Zach how to do that when he was a young man, and I did it. And I think it's good for people to do that. I want you to be safe and secure. But the reality is, if you're not doing a disciplined practice, medical, engineering, or law, or anything similar to that, honestly, trade schools, you can make $150,000 a year coming out of a trade school learning that you work on engines. There's so many different job opportunities out there. I'm talking about jobs. What I'm saying is, I just don't think college, the return's not there. They're in bed with the government. It's a ridiculous system. And one other system wants you to sign on a loan that is guaranteed until the day you die. I mean, it's absolutely nuts, if you ask me. So if I'm young, here's a simple plan. I'm telling you right now. You ready? 25 hours a week is what you got to give. Now, that's the bare minimum. And some of that's going to be on reviewing the material at freewholesaling.com. And the other part of that is going to be you going out and taking action. Notice I didn't say that's 25 hours a week of you studying wholesaling. That's the worst thing you can do. And almost all of you want to do it right out of the bat when you're coming out of some sort of schooling. I'm telling you guys, that is not the way the regular world works. You don't go to school 12 years and then just jump in and be an entrepreneur. You actually have to apply the craft that you have learned, and you're going to have to test it out. And by you taking action, you're going to take risk. Sometimes you're going to hit, sometimes you're going to fail. And that's how you learn your wholesaling journey. There is no other way to do it. I've tried it. So if you're starting young, the biggest struggle you got to deal with is your parents. It's just the truth. They're going to tell you it's a scam because you know why? Because it doesn't sound right. It sounds scary, and they think you're doing something illegal. Well, you got to make a decision what you're going to do. I've heard about other people moving on the other side of the country. I think that's a little bit extreme. I think it's best to have open communication and talk to them. And you need to give your valid points on why you're doing it. But remember, if you take advice from someone that hasn't made it, they don't seem happy in their marriage, and they've never spent a lot of time with you, heed the warning, because the rock don't fall, the apple don't fall far from the tree. And my dad wasn't there when I did this stuff, and I made a decision that I didn't want to do that. Now, I didn't want to disappoint my mom, so I was in a struggle, and I really didn't have anybody to lean on to figure out why. So I got strong-armed, and it cost me a lot of time, 5.5 years, as I said, and I don't want you to do that. So this is the biggest struggle you're going to have to do it. Now, if you have the support of your parents and you have the luxury of living at home so you can get your first few checks, or you want to use it motivation to get your first check so you can get financially free and out from under your parents, which is a good thing. I don't think you should be living with your parents. I don't think you should be living in the basement. It's not good for your psyche. I don't care what anybody says. You should use wholesaling as a motivation so you can step up and do that. So I would go all in. That 25 hours, I'm just giving you minimums. You can do 70 hours a week. You can do whatever you want, but you're going to have to incorporate a little bit of reviewing, studying, and then you have to take action. The longer you delay taking action, the worse this is going to get. Now, the next one. So the question is, it's always debatable which one's the toughest, because I got to tell you, when I was a young man, I struggled. Like, I did not want to go to college. Would I have passed college and had a diploma? Yeah, they give it to anyone. Like, all you do is got to show up. Yeah. Nobody goes, what's your GPA at your college? They don't do that. Colleges use that ploy to create demand on people's GPAs. It's like a joke what people will do to get in the colleges. But I find it ironic, the minute their kids get in college and the parents announce it, oh my God, my kid's going to Duke. After that, the parents don't know what to do and they don't know how to support their kids. And I'm not talking about financially. Like, you've got to be there. The toughest time for a kid, in my opinion, is from 17 to 25. You have to have structure, meaning you have to help guide them, because they're going to make some bad decisions. Yes, Zach's not made every perfect decision either. He near damn has just about made every great decision, but that's the typical phase where kids are going to get in trouble. They're going to get married and not think it through. They could get a hold of an addiction. They could get a bad partner and stuff like that. And that's where you got to give the guidance as a parent. That's the key. But we're spending so much energy on our kids trying to have them pick the right college, but we lack in supporting them in every other area, like teaching about finances, teaching about, like, you don't have to just get a job. You can actually shoot for the moon. I know you can do it. And then showing them how, if they put the work in now, how they can really make things so much easier down the road. And if parents would put all the energy across that evenly, dude, it'd be fair game. But for some reason, my dad went all in on college, and that's all he cared about. Because I know what he thought. He goes, this is the fastest way to get my son off my payroll. It was selfish, and whatever. I learned from it. It made me a better person in the long run. I just would have had a much bigger head start if I did it that way. So the next one, the single parent, tough one. It's brutal. The more kids you have, the more demands you have to meet. So number one, let me tell you this. If you are a single parent, say with or without a job, depending on what aspect you are in the life, your number one priority is to take care of those kids. End of story. I get it. And you want to do wholesaling, I'm fine with it. But you have to meet that minimum obligation first. Otherwise, the stress is going to take you out, and wholesaling is never really going to work. How do you do that? Well, you're going to have to make some decisions. And most importantly, you're going to have to figure out, how much time can I dedicate to wholesaling? And here's where you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Listen, I had 2 kids while I was doing wholesaling and had a full-time job. And I had a spouse that was an amazing mother. So it wasn't as hard for me. So I'm not going to sit there and I don't know this role. I know it's tough. I've been through it with family, and I've been through it with friends. And I said, you've got to have a plan to take care of those kids, keep it stable. Most of the time, you want to keep them in the same school districts, because no kid wants to move around all the time unless you're in the military. And that's it. Like, you have to identify. Most people say this is the hardest one. It is hard. It is hard in every aspect. And it's not about how you got there. I don't care. But just make sure you take care of that little one, because that's the person that needs the love, the support, and they need basic supplies given to them. So if you do that, the reality is, single parent, you're around 10 to 15 hours a week concentrating on wholesaling. You just can't. You can't go outside this. You only have so much time, maybe 20 hours, but the reality is you're probably doing some sort of side work, or maybe waiting tables, or doing a virtual job, which is fine. If you're lucky enough to be able to even do that, and then have somebody watch the kids, because you know what the most expensive part of this is. That's right, daycare. Daycare is brutal. If you don't have kids yet, it's extremely expensive. It was expensive when Zach was little, my daughter was little. And like today, I saw some numbers on it, and it's staggering. It's very expensive, guys. So you got to make it work. But for you to cross to that promised land of becoming truly free with wholesaling, you're going to have to split your times. Now, here's the cool thing about wholesaling. I tell you right now, I do not split my time when I do wholesaling with my kids. I used to have Zach and my daughter They used to play on my floor. I had one big room because I didn't have a big place when I started out because I didn't have any money. And I just sat there and called. I pulled lists. I did everything I could. And every now and then a kid would get in trouble. I'd pick them up and someone would start screaming. Somebody smacked somebody, usually Zach smacking his sister. And that was it. Listen, people actually appreciate when you have kids. They believe you're more sincere and you're more authentic. So trying to hide the kids, I get it. It's annoying when the kid's screaming in the background, but it is part of life. And I embraced it when my kids were little. So my kids were only like a year and a half apart. And so my recommendation, if you're a single parent and you're in this situation, number one, take care of the family first. Make sure that basics are met. And number two, embrace the family. Do not hide it. Actually amplify it. And people are like, oh my God, you're a single mom, you're a single dad. That's so awesome. And people just love kids. Nobody, I know, I'll get that straight. Some people don't like kids, but the reality is, man, kids are freaking awesome. They're fun and they're great to be around. So the next one, which is going to be most of you, and I'm going to pop it up here, is you're the job 9-to-5er. Now, as I said, some of you might have kids, all that other stuff. I did the extreme situations first, so we get those out of the way. But the reality is you're in your job. And here's your biggest problem with the job, because I know I had this. You get this thing like every 2 weeks, and it's called a paycheck. And you know what happens to the paycheck? A paycheck it's like you're addicted to it. I gotta have it. It's like lifeblood. And listen, I got a paycheck from the same company for 12 years. And there is a nice feeling knowing that check's coming. I'm not even freaking denying that. And here's the bad news. I got to take that away from you to get where you want to go. Now, I got a couple different ways we can do it, and I want you to understand it. Number one, if you're a 9-to-5er and you have obligations, AKA kids, wife, whatever, a mortgage, you can't just go cold turkey in the wholesaling. Some of you can because you've been doing it part-time or you've been doing it as a side hustle and you already have the ins and outs of it. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about people going cold turkey. You're going to put so much pressure on yourself. And my fear is you went to a seminar and it was basically a pep rally for wholesaling. And you got so jacked, you put everything on a credit card and you quit your job. Don't do that. It's the fastest way to get out of wholesaling. It takes time. Nobody is an instant success in the first 30 or 90 days of wholesaling. There are exceptions, but for the most part, you're getting started. You're not great at it. And if you get a deal or two, great. But a lot of times people don't even hit it in the first 3 months. It's the truth, guys. These case studies you see are the extreme exception. I took in 600 students. Here's one guy that made 90 grand in the first 100 days. Wow. I didn't know you had 500 other failures, and that would have changed your mind completely. So if you're doing it, do responsible. Here's my suggestion. You got 24 hours in a day, 24. The reality is most of you go to work for 8, maybe 9 hours a day. The truth is you're only working about 2 hours effectively during that time. So between the water cooler, your lunch break, going on sales calls, sitting in BS meetings, there's not a lot getting done. And if you're out in the field and you're a sales rep or you have a territory, dude, wholesaling is awesome because that's how I got my cut in my teeth is I had a full-time territory and I oversaw all the branches. And then my job was just to push sales and keep all the big accounts happy. And then in between lunch and everything else, I'd be on the phone just calling people. And here's what I did. I went till I could replace 1 year of my salary. Why? I didn't have a choice. I had too many obligations. Now, some of you might go, if I can just set 3 months reserve aside, maybe 6 months reserves, you've got to set the number. And here's the key is the less your spending is, the more options you have. So if your spending's out of control, get that under control first. Number two, understand you're only there 8 hours a day. You're only really effective 2 hours a day. I don't know what kind of supervision you have. Take advantage of whatever you can. And if you can, use your own cell phone to run your wholesale business. Do not use company property because that will get you in trouble really quick. And I don't want to get you fired from the job. That is, that's the last thing you want to do. So the reality is if you're doing this, you can do wholesaling kind of on a part-time basis, and it's going to be 15 to 20 hours. Once again, these are bare minimums, guys. Bare minimums. You start at freewholesaling.com and then you figure your time. Keep in mind, you can use Saturday and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday. Let me say that again. Saturday and Sunday. So instead of going out and partying and drinking and trying to keep up with the Joneses and being socially acceptable, just take care of business. If you want to get ahead, you're going to have to make a sacrifice. You can't keep doing the same old. And so it took me about 7-8 months for me to replace my income. And I sucked when I started, but I got so good. The last 2.5 months were like a rocket ship. And the first 3 or 4 months was brutal for me. And once I got there and I saw and I had predictable income, my favorite thing in the world was to go in and fire my boss. In fact, when I did that, they were in such shock. They tried to give me a tremendous pay increase. They tried to give me a bigger territory. They tried to give me a brand new company car. I believe it was a Yukon. And I just turned it all down. I'm like, listen, you guys have never listened to me. You never will. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. And I don't believe in what I sell in. And that was the singular reason why I left the corporate world. I hated it. I didn't believe in what I do. I felt like most of what we did was a scam. And if I didn't sit there and just push people super hard, I didn't make much money. And I pushed people to the limit. And the problem is I pushed people to sell stuff they didn't believe in. So if you guys are peddling something right now and you really don't believe in it, it like hurts your gut. So why I love wholesaling is I believe in it so much. I believe I help out every seller, and I believe I provide a win-win-win situation for everybody involved. I know I'm always the best person when I met with a seller. In fact, I was so confident I got a little bit cuckoo with it because you know why? Because when you believe in something, it's really easy to connect, convert, close it, sell it, whatever you want to call it. In fact, I loved wholesaling so much, I never even considered it sales. I did a full-time sales job for 12 years. I just sit there and sell people crap they didn't even need. And if you're in any position, especially in retail, God bless you, because I've been there. When it comes to wholesaling is I find people that have pressing situations and they're going to have to sell. So they might as well find the kindest, most polite, most professional and empathetic person they could. And I always felt like that was me. So I never really, did I have competition? Yes. Did I worry about them? No, I really didn't. So 15 to 20 hours a week works really well on this one. Now, there's always that type of person in the crowd that's just like, Rick, you know what they say? You ready? Here's what I would say. Ready? I'll do anything person, right? I'll do anything to be successful in wholesaling. Well, I've already proven to you 99% of the people lie when they say that. But let's just say you're that type of person. The minute you say, hey, I'll do anything, I go, well, here's 100 pre-foreclosure. I want you to go knock on their door and see what kind of answer. It's like, ooh, I don't knock. Can I just send them a letter? And you notice that the script starts switching. But let's talk about the person who goes, dude, I have no encumbrances. I am all in. I am that type of person. You all met this type of person. These are far and few between, but I do have some in my system right now. I also call them the all-in type. These people say, listen, I got no encumbrance. I'm going to do it. Now, maybe you're 18, 19 living with your parents. Maybe you're 35 living in the basement. I'm not here to judge. I am only interested in where you want to go. I don't care what happens in your past. I'm not here to that's not my job. I don't care. The question is, if I can light a match under you and go, hey, listen, I want to make a change. This is what I want to do. So this person, my minimum expectation is 50 to 70 hours a week. And honestly, if you're an all-in person, why aren't you doing 100 hours a week? The reality is it doesn't matter how many hours you put in the wholesaling because it's based on productivity. And a lot of these, when you guys see Rick says 10 to 15, 15 to 20 hours, you're thinking about like corporate job work hours. It doesn't work that way. And I want you to understand that. It's the amount of work you put in on cultivating leads, taking action to meet with sellers. That's the only hours I count. I don't count drive time or any of that other stuff. It doesn't work that way. I don't have a clock to punch. And if you know that going into it, you completely understand it. So Guys, remember at the end of the day, we're all in different places. And so when I talk to any of you, if we want to do some one-on-ones, which we're going to do here, is tell me where you are and what phase you are, and tell me like what your schedule aligns and what's going on. And I think that'll help us all out when we do that. So let me jump over and um, let's see here, dude. Let's just jump in the live. So let me take and turn on my speaker here because I can never hear you guys because I do this from Zach's studio and I'm never used to anything here. I like, we all like certain things our own way, right? So, okay, let us. Kingsley, you there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Actually, you guys saved me from the Guru Trap. I've been watching your videos for like what 5 months now, but I'm in Spain right now. So I play pro basketball in Spain in a city called
Awesome, man.
and
What part of Spain?
so it's a city called Melilla. So it's literally on the tip of Africa. It borders Morocco. So
Ah,
yeah.
I got a good friend that lives in Spain. She always sends me pictures. Like she says, "Rick, come over. You can stay over anytime." She owns houses all over the world. Like one of her favorite places is Spain. I think she's over in like Barcelona, but she I don't Barcelona, Madrid. Like she travels all over the place over there. But
Yeah, fire.
she loves it, man. You
Spain is
like it
fire.
there?
Yeah, I live in it's a really small city. It doesn't have big lights and stuff like that. It's really quiet. It's by the beach. It's a chill
Uh,
spot for.
How's the weather there right now?
So last week it was 70s, like
Wow.
and right now I'm from Chicago. So like it's like 40 degrees and I'm chilling at the beach while everybody's like,
Yeah.
miserable. But
So tell me a little bit about your basketball background because I love basketball.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I'm not talented at basketball. I just like but I was a pickup league guy. I could never make the high school team. It's so competitive with kids now these days. I mean, these kids are groomed at. I have a friend in real estate. Um, I'm not going to give out his name. It's kind of personal, but he's been grooming his son since like 3. I mean, like you have no idea. Like they travel the world, and he's still like it's going to be hard. Like it's tough, man, because you have so many different like leagues and stuff. It's not quite like the NFL. They got more stuff, but like with all the different leagues with the NBA, and then you got college, and then it's so competitive in high school now too. It's amazing.
yeah.
So
Nah,
tell me a little bit about your journey.
like as far as basketball, I was really never that talented guy. I was
Uh-huh.
blessed with I'm 6'8",
Hmm.
but I work for everything that I got. Like
Yeah.
I was a guy that would work out in the rain. I was so passionate about basketball. Like it would bring me to tears like growing up. That's just how I felt about basketball.
Yeah.
And work paid off. Like I'm the only one out of my high school team that's playing pro.
Yeah.
Um, but no, the reason why like I'm even having this type of thought process is because I love basketball,
Hmm.
but I've always been really good with numbers. Like the reason why I resonated with your son is because I also graduated with my degree in finance from
Hmm.
Northern. So I was always into the stock market. I taught myself how to trade options and stuff like that.
Yep.
Um, and
That's
then
why I got a finance degree. I didn't want. I was forced to go to college. I'm like, I was literally thrown out the door and said, "You got to go to college." And my dad's like, "I got to get you off the payroll." I'm like, I don't want to go. I just told him I go get a sales job and whatever. I wasted like 5 years of my life there, but
made sense to me. Like I knew it was a scam going in, but
yeah,
I played basketball, so like I had to,
I got
like
it.
I figured like I need to learn about money somehow. So I thought college would teach me about more about finances, which it wasn't really true. I didn't really
Yeah.
learn. But
Well, I got one other guy from former NFL. He's been on a few times, but we spent a lot of time with him. And I got 2 UFC fighters. Like they were like bad to the bone, man. Like,
Yeah.
and me and Zach have a good time with them. Actually, we're excited. They got a big event coming up in Miami in March, so we're excited to kind of go to that. But it's
Fighting. You're fighting.
yeah, I don't know. I love the UFC. I think it's a brutal sport. Like I mean, I did wrestling in high school. My son did it, and we like the discipline of it. But it's I played football and I did wrestling. I wondered why everybody, like 30 guys from the football team, would go out for wrestling, and like one guy would make it. I'm like, why is it so hard? Well, I found out it toughened me up really quick.
Yeah.
Now, I
I'm
listen. I would play basketball or baseball before I ever did football because you know the longevity of football. But UFC's like these guys get punched in the face for almost free. Like most of them, they have to pay $70,000 to $100,000 a year just to train, and they don't make any money while they train. So unless they have a sponsorship or come from a background of
right.
money, it's
Yeah.
one of the hardest sports. It's brutal, man. And one injury, you're done. And like a lot of these guys, short lives, man. You get punched like that in the face. But
Yeah.
I love to watch it. Like I know it's weird, but it is a safe sport. But um, it's wild to me. But
Yeah.
anyways, but I have a couple guys. I'm like, listen, if you can get punched in the face, like you can do wholesaling. Like I rather wholesale than ever get punched in the face. Like it's not a fun. I've been punched in the face a few times. It is not fun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, what kind of brings you here? So I know you probably you found my son and you found me. So what's going on? What can I help you out with?
Man, really, my last game will be in April, so I'll be back in Illinois by the end of April.
Hmm.
Right now, I don't have a laptop. I only have this cell phone, an iPhone 11. I've been watching all your videos on there, but
Hmm.
basically, like as soon as I get back, I really want to like deep dive into wholesale real estate, and because that's something like even though I haven't really got into it yet, it's something I'm kind of passionate about already.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited just to get into that. Um, but basically, like I've been thinking about kind of dropping this basketball thing and going all in into wholesale real estate, and I was wondering if you thought that would be like a good idea. I made a deal with myself that if I can replace my 1 month salary, like how much I get paid,
Hmm.
by the time I'm scheduled to go back, which is in September. So
Yeah.
from April to September, like my goal is to just have one deal, and if I can make as much as I made in this 8 months, then I would drop it. Um, and I'm just between, making two hard decisions because, basketball is my passion.
Yeah.
I put my life into it, but, I can become financially free faster, by watching all your stuff with wholesale real estate than I
I
could with
do.
basketball.
Kingsley, how old are you?
I just turned 24 Sunday.
Yeah. So you're young. So listen, I think what you do is amazing. And I I'm going to give you a little different spin. I don't know if you're going to like it or not, but like I'm going to tell you, you have a gift like most people don't have. And you know there comes a time once you're out of your prime, you can never go back. Even the greatest players of all time in all sports. So if you're having a good time and doing what you're doing, my advice to you is do that as long if it makes you happy though. I can't speak for that. So you have to find I know you're a numbers guy and like you like, man, I love this finance and the value of money from 24. Keep in mind, I had my son when I was 30. So we have a 30-year disparity. Dude, 30 years just taking $100 a month is like a life-changing money. You know how the compound the effects of compounding interest works, right?
Yeah.
So you got a tough one because you're doing what very few people can do, playing basketball at a high level. And I don't want ever you to look back and go, I just left it for wholesaling. Now, how big of a break do you do basketball year round?
No. So like my break, because I play in FIBA, my break is from April to September. So that's
So
about like 5 months.
yeah. You're going to have to make a decision with it because you're playing at such a high level that it's not something you just go in and out of, right? Like once you're out, it would be really hard to go back in.
Well, like I'm actually one of the top players like in the league. Like, so if I decided to just take a year off, there would still be teams that would like hit my agent up after a whole year. I mean,
So let me ask you, who's your mentor? Like who helps you give guidance?
um, I don't. It was actually I met a guru in the airport, which is that's really how I heard about wholesaling. He hasn't really been in me. He's been kind of just
Who
like
was
act.
it?
You want me to say his name?
Um, I mean, you can type it in the private. I'm not. Listen, you guys, I'm not enemies with any of these people. I tell you how it is. I don't talk negatively about anyone. When I say the word gurus, if it applies to you, that's their issue. But
Yeah. His name is Abdullah something. He's a big wholesaler guy in Chicago. Um, but
okay,
basically,
there's a lot of them, and
yeah.
that's
He was just giving me just little advice. I would text him here and there. I
uh
met him at court and we talked for hours. But he hasn't really been guided. He just sparked the fire. So
yeah,
like I've been researching myself,
I
looking
got it.
up. Yeah, you know. So
I would try to do a combo because I think I mean, do you enjoy playing basketball?
yeah, I really do. I do.
And you're 24, so I'm just saying, dude, like it's not like you're paying like at a local rec league, like, and the fact that they're paying you to do it and you get to travel the world, it's kind of cool because most people to travel the world, they got to join the military and they're stuck with like a 4-year sentence and they make literally almost no money.
Yeah, yeah.
It's terrible.
Thanks.
My daughter's dating one of them. I know how it works. So I'm just telling you, I don't want you got something good, but you can do both. Like you can study, you can do stuff virtually. Is it going to be easy? No, but like I don't know, man. Something doing that you love that you're getting paid while you're in the prime of your like, your youth. These are stories you're going to tell your grandkids and stuff, though. I'm somewhat biased. I don't want to see you do it because I don't get many people to call me in this situation. So I would find on that off time to have everything prepped and ready to go so you can go all in. And that's kind of like your spring training for wholesaling. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, you got to do what's ultimately going to make Kingsley happy. And I'm not in your head. I'm just kind of hearing what you're saying. And I haven't talked to you a line. I'd like you to come back on and maybe even like talk to Zach because he'll kind of, and I won't even tell him you talk to me and you can get an unbiased opinion from dad and you can get it from him. But like you're doing something at a top level. Um, I got friends that do done wrestling and then they in college it's beyond brutal. Like you got to go to one of like the Ohio States, the Minnesotas, and these guys, they have to train year round because you constantly have to evolve in wrestling and you have a very small window. And then they go out for the Olympics. That commitment is a 4 to 6 year run with no money. Like it's only the top guys get a sponsorship and it's brutal. So the fact you can get paid and do something you love and travel, I think it's pretty cool. I would take that off season and I'd go all in on the wholesaling. Illinois got a little bit of the challenge with the licensing. You're aware of that, right?
yeah. I talk to title companies. Like I've been putting in some work. Like I've been using my Google Voice to
Yeah.
talk to companies and stuff like
So you
that.
get April, May, June, July, August. Dude, you get 6 months, man. Like I
Yeah,
would do both. I think what you have is unique. If it was a regular job or something like that, I'd tell you to bail and run, go do what you're, but like I'm
yeah,
telling you, you're going to be telling stories. And here's the deal. When you're 80 sitting in your rocking chair, I don't want you to go, dude, this guy, Rick, told me to quit basketball while I was getting paid traveling the world. I don't want you to do that. Remember, I didn't even start it until I was 33 and I was fine. You
yeah,
understand that? So if you start educating yourself now, start taking action and learning it, and you got really 4 or 5 months a year, you can go all in. You got no problem. Especially going back to Chicago. Is it Chicago?
yeah.
Yeah, at least you're not going in like the mid part of winter, man. That's brutal, man. That's
Yeah.
tough.
It's summer all year round, which is pretty
I don't
cool.
know. I spent with one of my business partners, Chicago. He's just like complaining about the weather this winter. I'm like, I won't go up there. I go, why? You come down to South Florida. I'm not going up there.
Yeah,
So I just think you're doing something special, and I just don't. So look at yourself in an 80-year-old rocking chair, and what would you regret the most? You can always get money back, but you can't get experiences back. What you're doing is pretty cool. I'm not going to ask what they're paying you stuff because I think that's private information, but like this is somewhat of a math equation of doing something you love while you're in the prime of your life. But it doesn't mean you can't financially start planning for your future and stuff like that. And I would take the time to do the investments and learn and strategize. You have one of the greatest times, what I think is coming up in the stock market. I got to tell you, I don't need to tell you, the last 9 months in the stock market's been one of the highest returns I've ever experienced,
Right.
like through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, I went all in NVIDIA. Like you didn't even need a college degree to figure that one out.
Right.
4 times in 6 months, it was the return on it. That's trust me, they didn't like that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I'm
like
already.
I look at it and it's like, to me, it's kind of easy. You see what's going to happen with interest rates. You see what's going on in the world economy. So use your money to make those investments because at 24, man, it's powerful money. Even small amounts of money are extremely powerful. And then when your basketball starts to waver off or like it's not where it's supposed to be, and then you have some side hustle and income with the wholesaling. To me, that's the perfect match. But remember, in the end of the day, Kingsley, you're in charge of what you do. Don't be like my father and mandate what you have to do. And forget the 5 years it cost me college. I spent another 12 years fumbling around for a company that didn't give a crap if they replaced me like that the minute I quit. So you're
Yeah.
on the right path, dude. You're doing everything you love and you want something's better. And I use guys like, I mean, Shaq made an enormous amount of money through his whole thing because he's such a giant. But like that guy invests like crazy, man. And he only goes in the companies he can get like full equity in. I think it's like really impressive. So remember, your youth is your asset. So I would use it how you see fit. But 6 months is easy to do wholesaling. I mean, easy. It take you 2 to 3 months to really kind of get in the groove and get going. And then what you can do is you can set it up. And then when you travel, you could actually, if you have a good lay of the land, you can do it virtually and you can get some people to help you while you're overseas.
Yeah. That's what I was. That's what I was
Remember,
saying.
remember the whole point of today's topic was we're all in different places in our life. You're literally in a different place and you have no accent. You're from America, so you know how the culture works and everything. I get a lot of international investors. They have a very tough time with it. It's very different in America, as you know. And when you leave America, like there's very few places like America when you leave it. I don't know if that's good or bad, but like it's just the truth. Like it's just different when people don't know how easy they have it here sometimes.
Yeah.
So
And just one
do
more thing.
both, dude. You love both. Do them both. That's what I'm telling you.
That's true. Yeah. That's what I'm leaning towards, honestly.
Okay,
Uh,
what else you got?
But I was gonna say like a video request. Like a couple questions I have is like how to actually perform a cancellation of a contract and how to like do an addendum. I've been through the whole course.
So honestly, they're super easy. You don't need a video for it. Number one, whenever you cancel a contract, number one, send a formal email. Like, so why? Because an email is time stamped and it's dated. It's kind of hard. Email, in my opinion, is the best paper trail. If you're in the States and you got a real pain in the ass person, you send a piece of certified mail on top of it. And then the third one is you text and you call. You gotta go above and beyond to cancel. You can't just haphazardly cancel. That goes with any contract you write in life. Like your playing contract. If you want to end it, you got to reach out to your agent and go, listen, make sure you end it by this date. Like otherwise they're going to renew me for another year and I don't want to do it. I'm not saying that's what you want to do, but you want some sort of paper trail to be there. You don't want to like just ghost it and expect it. Number two, an addendum is easy. It's just a slight change to the contract. So you can call them addendum 1 through 99, or you can call it addendum A and go all the way to Z. And basically says buyer and seller agree to split, I don't know, the title insurance. And then you would sign it, the seller would signs it, and then you just attach it to the contract. And by the way, you can Google an addendum. There's 3 million of them. And number one, the best place to get it from is your title company. And the addendum will have the contract between Rick Ginn and Kingsley O'Connor, and then it'll have the property and the date. And then they spell out the changes in the date, And if both parties signs it, um, it becomes part of the contract. And both have to be very clearly dated and signed. Now, a cancellation, if you're within your inspection period, only you need to sign it and date it. And as long as it reflects, so if you had a 10-day inspection period and you canceled on day 6, long as you can prove it, if they ever came back to you, you go to the title company, get your earnest money deposit back, and you move on. The only time you need to cancel a contract is when you're outside of your contingencies period. Then you have to get the seller to agree to do it with you, and that puts you at a major disadvantage. Most sellers won't. They'll just torture you to the end. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So anything you need, go over to freewholesaling.com. And as I said, dude, I think you can do both. I think your situation's unique enough. Think of your 80-year-old self in the rocking chair. Think about like any grandparents or anyone you have to do. And God knows, like I'm 6'2", and I'm a midget compared to you. Like you're blessed with good genes, and I would make the best if you're having good. Some people play basketball and they don't like it. Like there's some people who play, as you know, in the league, they're athletically gifted, they just don't like doing it.
Yeah.
So like if it becomes a chore, then you got to relook at it and do it that way. But I think you'll be fine, bud.
Well, yeah, I just listened because you said give me 2 years in wholesaling and it'll change the rest of your life. And the reason why I was even considering this is because 2 years now in basketball and 2 years, balls to the wall in wholesaling, I feel like I would be in a financially greater situation through wholesaling than in basketball, because basketball is harder to climb. It will take.
I get it, but your off season comes up this April, right?
Yeah.
Just go, just do it while you're doing that. Make sure you stay in good shape, and you're still gonna have to do some training while you do it. But listen, I still have to train, but I do it just so I can stay alive. You're doing it so you can make money if you want to play basketball again, and then you can make that decision in the summer. And I think, listen, you want to grow and you want to make money and you understand you want to have limits. So just gear it up in April and go all in with it. And then you can make a decision by the summer. Remember, you got to do what makes you happy. I can't tell you what that is, but I think you could do both. Remember, 6 months out of 24 months, that gives you a huge head start. And then if you're making so much money doing it and you love what you do, then you decide you want to do basketball. That's your choice. I just don't want you to have any regrets. Okay.
Got you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Hop back on, Kingsley. I'll see you, man.
See you.
Okay. Later. Jennifer, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Oh, yep. Sorry.
How you doing?
So I actually had talked to you about that mobile home property that unfortunately is a tear down now, it looks like. So
Yeah, see, I told you.
yeah.
I just had it so do you understand what I did, Lo?
Yes.
Gave me the address. I punch it in and it popped up. I go, there's nothing there. And unfortunately, they didn't tell you that, right?
They didn't. He thought like it could be fixed up and everything like that. And then, yeah. The photos.
Just learn. Listen, we get this all the time in our virtual investing business. We don't get excited till we see a picture on something.
Okay.
Some people are really authentic. Some people lie like crazy. I've had people sell me homes that don't even exist. It's ludicrous. Unfortunately, we have to go through this and do that. And the thing is, you think I'm negotiating between 21. I remember it was 21. You went to 28.
Yes. Yep.
There's no freaking property there. It's ridiculous. Is that like the greatest thing you've ever heard?
Yeah.
Listen, don't let it discourage you. You're just getting closer to the gold. This is how it works. It's just how it works. Don't get upset about it. I'm telling you, it's the norm. And so whenever we do virtual stuff, when we start, we have about a 75% failure ratio. Why? Because the numbers line up. It sounds perfect. And then by the time you get pictures of verification, you're like, dude, that's not what we agreed on. I just went through this with, who was that? There's a guy in our group you'd be familiar with. I'm not going to put his name out here. But he goes, Rick, it looks like a smoking deal. I go, don't get excited till you get pictures. We looked at pictures online. I go, it looks good. They sent the pictures the house is completely covered in weeds. I go, dude, it's $200,000.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm getting a $250,000 discount. I go, it needs 200,000. By the time you close it, you're going to lose money. It's not going to work. And ask him how many times he's been under contract. The guy's been under contract 12 times, 12
Oh my God.
wholesalers taking over. Like, so you just learn not to waste your time with those people, but you do have to move forward. But like, I think it's funny they're negotiating over $7,000 when the damn thing doesn't even exist. So the
Yeah.
only thing I think worth is like the lot, and I don't know how much value is in there. Maybe $5,000-$10,000. That's typically how it is. So
Yeah.
don't get
That's what.
upset about it. It's
Okay.
like it's the norm. This is the norm, and the idea is you get it down under 50%. So you've had a few swing and misses, and like that's just the norm. Most
Okay.
people quit at this point. Just you got to keep targeting these type of people. Eventually, one will stick, and after a while, you'll figure out your process. But whenever you're doing anything virtually, guys, I want you to understand until you have pictures, you don't even have close to have a deal because people lie. Oh my God, do they lie? And it pisses me
Yeah.
off, but I just look for the opportunity. You put it under contract. But I've had just as many problems when I go, well, I'll put it under contract when I get pictures. Like, no, I took an offer from this other guy and it winds up being a really good deal. So you're doing the right actions. Unfortunately, you just ran in a few bad ones. Remember, you're going to run into more bad ones than you do good ones.
Okay.
And it's just a number game. Get up to 10, and usually 1 or 2 out of the 10 will work out. And then eventually your numbers flip over where it's like 50-50 because you become more experienced and you learn better what to look for and you know how to ask instant questions so you don't waste people's times.
Okay. Yeah.
I would do the same thing. I put them under contract and I move forward. That's what we do.
Okay. And then for if canceling the contract, I think I was hearing I can just email, I'll call them, and then just verification and
Email,
canceling, correct?
piece of junk. I'm out. Like,
Okay.
well, something like that. I just send them an email and move on. Like they expect you to drop out of the contract, and now they're going to beg you to like, will you take it for 10,000? No, I wouldn't take it if you gave it to me. Like, what am I going to do with it?
Okay.
That's it. But like, don't overlook it. They just don't go away on their own. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank
Okay?
you.
And then we'll talk tomorrow. I'll be on. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Listen, I put the Flip with Rick plus on there. A lot of you were like, well, Rick, I don't have a PayPal account. Me and Zach just switched it where you can put in a regular credit card. Listen, I'm looking for people for like long term. Plus, we have the live event coming up April 24th and 25th in Dallas. You got to be a Flip with Rick Plus member. It's so awesome. It's really cool. If you want to get in there, do it sooner than later because I think we're going to stop it. We're talking about in a couple weeks. And I want to meet everybody who goes out there. So listen, guys, if you got value from today, do me a favor. Make sure you subscribe to this. Make sure you smash that like button and go over to Flip with Rick. I'll be on Flip with Rick tomorrow from actually 1 p.m. Eastern. Got a really cool topic. I'll show it on there, guys. I appreciate you. I got to run. I'll see you guys. Have a good one. Later.